Cool. Hey, we're live. Welcome to Film Trooper Presents Film Marketing Fridays. Today is September 26th, 2014, and can you believe that it is almost over? We're almost like the last 3 months of the year. So that means we got 3 more months to make 2014 count. And last 2 Fridays ago, I had a Film Marketing Friday conversation about applying some interesting marketing and sales techniques to selling your book, independently published book, on Amazon, and how possibly you can apply it to your own film product. And that opened up a lot of discussion in the last 2 weeks. And the reason I didn't have a Film Marketing Friday last week was because I was at my daughter's field trip, and sometimes life just gets in the way, especially little ones. Not like getting away, but it just that stuff happens that you got to deal with that sometimes kind of throws a kink in your production schedule and your project schedule. But that's fine. But the cool thing about it, I was approached by one of our fellow film troopers, Dennis Waller, who showed me that he's been writing a lot of books on Amazon, and he was basically confirming like, yeah, you're on the right path. He's also a filmmaker and a speaker. So I have him as a guest today on Film Marketing Fridays, and I want to continue the conversation more about what we can do as filmmakers to use the Amazon Marketplace to our advantage when we're selling our digital product. So with further ado, here is Mr. Dennis Wallers. Say hi to everybody. Can you
Hey,
see?
thanks, Scott, for having me here, and hey to everybody that's out there. This is going to be fun.
Cool, cool. So the let's see here. Where am I thing here? There it is. Um, Here, why don't you give us, like, if we're at a party or something like that, and people don't know who you are, and I had to introduce you, can you give us a quick bio, especially your work in Amazon, and go from there, so we can set the tone, and then we'll get into some further questions.
Yeah, I'm a writer, and I've had some success. Matter of fact, some of my books I've actually sold dozens of copies. For me, it's doing everything I wish I would have done when I was 21. And what's remarkable is what I'm doing today with the format like Amazon was not available, say, 10, 15, 20 years ago. So it's incredible the opportunities that are out there today for anybody that wants to get into entertainment, whether it be book, film, or music. But like anything else, we're not born knowing this. But for me, it's just been an incredible ride. Uh, Opportunities and the people I've met is just beyond my wildest dreams.
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. So, hey, you got some film posters behind you. Can you tell us a bit more about those?
Yes, I wrote a book on the Tlingit Indians of southeastern Alaska about their mythology, the Kustaka, which is a mythological shape-shifting creature. You know, imagine your worst nightmare brought into reality by some demon spirit, and that gives you an idea what this entity is. And it's such a fascinating subject, and the stories that I have received from people who have encountered this phenomena is just so profound that it motivated me to do a documentary based on what I found. So we're still in the pre-production stage of the film. I've got three folks in England who are going to shoot some reenactments for me, and then I'm going to have some talking heads with some authorities in the various fields to kind of bring this together. And also I have a TV series that are in talks right now about shooting a 1 hour episode based on the book and have it shot on location in Alaska. So it's been exciting for me because this is an opportunity that I don't think I would have had I not made that first step in trying to make the documentary on my own. And I'm certainly not going to stand in the way if a TV show wants to shoot that for me. I think it's just going to be a blast to be part of that and actually see, something you wrote go to the screen. I think that's every author's secret desire, if he would admit it, is seeing your work actually portrayed, whether on the small screen or big screen.
It's funny. It's interesting you said that. First of all, it's amazing. It's, like I said, I'm going to provide links in the show notes later when this is finished posting to all your work so people can see what you've been doing on Amazon. And I love the fact that your topics are, run an array, but it's some very interesting things that I'm, fascinated by. It's interesting that you have you got a lot of books on or subject matters on like Buddhism. It's sort of this, I don't know how to categorize it, but it's that was fascinating to me. But what's cool, like you said, is that as a creative person, you're allowed to create, and having the chance to be an author, to just write, to create something, and then have a marketplace like Amazon that allows you to self-publish and to reach audiences out there, and like you said, and then take the next step and make your own documentary from a work that you've created. And then because the one step after another, just the sheer fact of just creating anything allows you to open doors that you, like you said, may have never been there if you didn't do anything, or you were trying to pigeonhole yourself into an old system that is either dying or changing. It's a matter of point of view, I guess. But I had one of my best blog posts that I enjoyed. I wrote called "Hollywood is not in the film business, and they are in the business of exploiting licenses." So the reason why why distributors need to control your film if they buy it from you, they're buying the license, the rights to own your license for your product that you created for like sometimes 15, 25 years, because they need to have that opportunity to exploit that license ad infinitum. Well, I can't speak English, but the point is that the opportunity to create books from it, to create merchandise from it, all that type of stuff. And as independents, someone like yourself, which is amazing, you've created a lot of material, a lot of content that you, if you are in control of your license, can exploit it on your own. Making a documentary, selling the portions off to a television production company to make a television show. That is really the new model going forward for filmmakers, and that kind of education needs to be taught in the film schools nowadays. And the concept here with Film Marketing Fridays and Film Trooper is to sort of bridge that gap, to show what other people have been doing, and then the marketing process, the business process. So with that said, let's get into I want to create something, right? So like say I'm going to write a book. Like right now I'm physically writing this survival guide, and I'm going to use myself as a guinea pig to test out this concept of selling it on Amazon and using hopefully some good tips and techniques to get a really good impact when I'm selling something on Amazon. And then we're going to try to figure out how that could apply to a film product. So a lot of filmmakers who are making something sometimes will just want to get it out, like I did. I threw it up on Vimeo on demand, but I may have missed out a lot of opportunities in terms of the windowing, the knowing strategically when to place a film at certain marketplaces and go from there. So with that said, say I'm a newbie. I'm thinking about writing a book. What would I need to know working with Amazon and like sort of the steps like that you would recommend and take?
Well, first off, nobody's born knowing this stuff, and my first book was just miserable, and based on my experiences in my first book, I should have just ran like hell away from it. But what frustrated me was there's so many people out there willing to take your money to do this stuff because you don't know how, and the costs are so crazy that I was determined to figure this out on my own. My second book was still a nightmare, but not as bad as the first one. The third one was frustrating as I'm learning how to use these tools. By the time I got to the fifth book, it's just a process. It's just work. It's just a matter of applying the mechanics. So for me, I think if I was going to talk to somebody new, I think there's a lot of quality reference books out there that can walk you through the step-by-step process on how to create an outline, how to write your book, as far as getting it edited and such. I use a software program called Ultimate eBook Creator, and I pay $50 for it, and I use that to format all my ebooks. And it's just a simple question of cut and paste from Word doc into the software, and literally within a matter of 20 to 40 minutes, I can go from a manuscript in Word doc to a published book awaiting approval from Amazon. So first off, not to spend a lot of time on it, there's a lot of quality books out there that can walk you through the mechanics to get your book to a published, ready state.
Yeah, I just actually threw it up on screen for everybody to see. It says the
Oh
ultimate
yeah,
ebook creator. So,
I mean, I got an email yesterday saying, for $249, we will format your book into an ebook. You can buy the software for 50, 60 bucks, sit there and play with it until you can master it, and then every time you publish a book, that's another $200, $250 that you're saving. And I know the creator of the software, and if I ever had an issue, he responded immediately and helped me walk through it. So I can say from my experiences for creating content for Amazon or Smashwords or Barnes & Noble's platform, this is by far the easiest idiot-proof software there is. So that has been a very valuable tool for me. And considering I have 24, 25 books, you can see that we're already talking $5,000 worth of savings in using this software. So it's really important, unless you just got the money, to learn the mechanics on how to produce your own books as far as ebooks. But the thing about publishing is it's like fishing. You don't want to go throw one line in the water for trout if there's catfish and everything else. So for me, in the entertainment business, it's the same way. And what makes this so incredible is CreateSpace is the vehicle I use for my print books. They are owned by Amazon. And again, they will provide you the tools to where you can format your own interior book and your book cover for free. And again, you might spend a week working through it to learn to master it, but once you master it, again, you're having complete control. And what's beautiful about all this software that I'm using, if I get an email from somebody and go, hey, on page 57, third paragraph, you got this word spelt wrong, I can go in, immediately change it, upload these files, and within 15 minutes the problem's corrected. It's just a matter of it going through the system before it gets back to the public. But with Amazon, you have the platform for ebooks. With CreateSpace, you have the platform for print books. And this is really critical for filmmakers. Not only do they handle the distribution for books, they also do it for music and film. And what's great as a filmmaker on the film aspects of CreateSpace is they will handle the distribution through Amazon. And as an added bonus, once this is published on Amazon, I would say 9 out of 10 times your film will automatically qualify to be placed in IMDb because it's already being distributed, and they handle that for you. And anybody that's gone through IMDb and trying to get a project started can tell you it's a nightmare. And that's how you and I met. I had a roadblock trying to get my film out of pre-production because IMDb, they're very stringent on making sure that they're not dealing with somebody that's making homemade movies out of the garage. They want to deal with professionals. And that in itself is a huge plus in taking a lot of stress off your plate. And I'm going to tell you, I don't know if you're familiar with the news, but Amazon is making a run after Netflix. And they're doing it with their Prime Video to where you pay $99 a year and you can stream incredible amounts of film and music and books for free. And that's something that I'm a member of, that I utilize, and it's just a great tool to have. And in addition to CreateSpace, you also have for books a platform called acx.com, and that is Amazon's audiobook platform. So for me, I publish a book on ebook as an ebook, then I go to CreateSpace, publish it as a print book, and then I go to acx.com and put the manuscript up for auditions.
What was that
and
again?
What I do is
Sorry about that. I want to make sure. ACX?
Yeah, acx.com. And it's another wholly owned subsidiary of Amazon.
It's so funny. I typed in AXX.
ACX.
Yeah, I'm an idiot. Well, I want to share this to everybody. Sorry.
Here you go. Now, this is what's incredible about ACX is I do a royalty split on the audio rights. I own the rights to my ebooks and my print books, but when I do an audio book, I give them 50% of the royalties for them to do the produce and manufacture and create a finished product. The first time I wanted to make an audio book, the bids were coming in between $4,000 to $6,000, and financially, it's something I couldn't justify. I have probably 11 books on audio, and I haven't paid a dime to have any of them produced. But since it's an ACX and they are owned by Amazon, they handle the distribution not only through Amazon but through iTunes and through audio.com. And I get 25% of the gross retail sales. So if I have an audiobook for $10 and somebody buys it, $5 goes to the house, $2.50 goes to me, and $2.50 goes to the producer that made it. This is literally free money for something that you did absolutely nothing to do. You've already created the content. It's already there. Somebody else did all the work, and you're reaping the benefits from it because you get this money put in your account every month like clockwork. And every time I wake up and look at my deposits, I can't keep from laughing because it's literally money for free.
Now, it's interesting.
The product.
Yeah, I'm sorry, because what you said there is it's huge in the world of online business, online marketing, is they're always talking about added value. And for filmmakers, the concept always been you make your film and then your added value is like the stuff you put on your DVD, bonus. But the difference is if you put your business mindset on, your cap on, you're looking for every single way that you can exploit that one license, that one product you created, like you said, your book, and you says we can use a service to exploit it to create an audio book, and that is this added value. So then when somebody's on the Amazon market, place, they could see their options. And if you can, then you said like if you can turn that book into a documentary, or a web series, a film, or whatnot, or you utilizing other producers to help exploit that license, you're essentially running your own mini, independent studio, and you're still being creative. Nothing's taken away from the whole creative process, which is amazing. So this is fantastic. I had no idea that this audio platform existed. I was thinking I'm going to have to record my own voice from my own book.
No, but, there's something else because I'm also a top reviewer on Amazon.
Oh wait, here we go.
178 out of 23 million.
Wait. Sorry, Dennis.
That and $1. Do what?
I'm sorry. No, we got a little break up there, so I don't want people to miss the importance of you being a top reviewer. So can you restate what you just said again, because it got broken up on the Hangout here.
On Amazon, I'm also a top 500 reviewer, and my ranking on Amazon is number 178. That might not seem like much, but when you consider there's over 23 million people that have left reviews on Amazon, I've become a very desirable property for anybody, whether they're in film, whether they're in print, or have a physical product, because they want to have a quality review from a reviewer of some substance and ranking. And because of that, I've made several fantastic relationships with authors and filmmakers. And one of the things I'm seeing, talking about taking your one product and creating additional revenue streams, is I'm starting to see a paradigm with independent filmmakers getting the film made, going to CreateSpace, having it made as a DVD, as a physical product that you can actually buy yourself at a discount, so you can take it to your lectures or meetings and sell. They can sell this physical DVD through Amazon, and then they can do Amazon does a video on demand or instant video where somebody can instantly download and watch that. Now, how do you take this film and create another revenue stream? What I'm seeing is filmmakers are taking it and actually taking the script and publishing the script as a screenplay. And I have started to get requests to review these screenplays. When you have a screenplay owned in print and as an e-book, then the next logical step is to take it to an audio book. So even a filmmaker himself or herself can take that film and take advantage of the same opportunities that authors have with all these different sources of revenue, whether it be in print, digital, or audio. And it's just fantastic because we didn't have that 5, 10 years ago. And this is something that Hollywood doesn't hit on because, like you said, it is not their primary purpose or their goal. Like you said, their goal is to sell the products associated with the films. But there is a definite paradigm shift with independent films. And living in Dallas, I can tell you there is not one weekend out of the year where somebody somewhere isn't having some sort of mini independent film festival or somebody showcasing. It is just great to see because that's just creating desire and motivation to get off your butt and do it yourself. You know, there's definitely a way to get your work out there, but you got to know how the system works, and more importantly, you need to know how to take advantage of it.
That's amazing. So what's interesting to clarify, I have another film trooper who's launching his film, and some other questions came up from the last Film Marketing Friday, which was using CreateSpace. You can easily get a DVD up, but it's going to be in standard definition. I believe that Amazon Instant Video will take that same file and create a standard definition. But if you want to get into high definition, just to clarify everybody, right now they're still only working through aggregators, so an aggregation company. So if you want to get into the Amazon Instant Prime videos with an HD file, you still have to go through an aggregator, meaning that they're not a distribution company. And Jason Brubaker of FilmmakingStuff.com, who I go to, who he was working 2 years ago, I think, at Distribber, which was owned by Indiegogo, and they are an aggregator. But it's really cool because it's simply like, look, like you were mentioning, Dennis, like you use all these other services like ACX, CreateSpace, and so on. There's these services that just basically provide a flat fee. Like, we'll take your file and do something with it. Well, an aggregator, finding the right aggregator, there's approved. It's interesting. Like somebody like Distribber, they are approved by iTunes and Hulu and Netflix and Amazon to be able to take filmmakers' files. And all they're doing really is making sure that your file that you're submitting to that particular platform meets all the technical specifications. Do you have the closed captioning? Is your 5.1 or stereo mix or whatever it is? Make sure that it's not complete crap, and that the overall look of the bit rate and so on is matching the quality control of what they expect to be part of their marketplace. And so that usually sometimes takes, like, they give you sort of a time frame of like 90 days, because the aggregator working with that marketplace just needs to make sure that the technical specs of your film go through the proper QA, quality assurance. And if it's something wrong with it, especially something like iTunes, if you're trying to get on their platform, they might kick it back to you and say, look, you need to supply us with a closed caption or whatever it might be. So working with your aggregator closely to make sure that you have your file formats set up for each marketplace is going to expedite your launch onto that platform. But it's fantastic what you've talked about, because you can at least get your film onto CreateSpace DVD, and you can get your film onto Amazon Instant Video using the same standard def file. And if you make any extra amount of money, you can use it, pay an aggregation company, and Distributor, I think it's like $1,500, maybe $2,000 for their service. It's a little high, but we're talking about film here. They can cover the basis of getting your stuff, and it's like a flat fee. I don't think they even take. I could be wrong, but I double check. But I think there are some aggregators that will take a percentage, of the profits. But I believe Distributor is just literally a flat fee, because they're just doing a one-time service for you to some extent. I could be wrong, but we can take a look later. But this marketing strategy, like we're going to get more into, I thought was great when you responded back and says, you know what, a filmmaker could just get it on CreateSpace, use a DVD, and it's going to be on the marketplace, and still utilize these different marketing strategies to build awareness and interest into the film, so that by the time it actually is released on HD format, you've already garnered all this
Absolutely.
interest. So let's go into that a little bit more about your thoughts and your concepts, your strategies about launching a book. What you recommend to other independent authors, musicians, and now filmmakers. As you're trying to put it on the Amazon Marketplace, what do you recommend in terms of like the best way to make a great marketing impact, I guess?
Well, it's a great question, and I'll tell you there are ways to doing it. The thing that you want to remember about Amazon is they're a business to make money, and they're going to promote what they feel is going to give them the best opportunity to make that money. So they're going to promote the winners. They're going to promote the movers and shakers. So you can have the greatest content in the world, whether it be music, film, or print, but if nobody's aware of it, it's just going to sit there. And honestly, in this world, if you don't have anybody beating your drum for you, then you need to beat it yourself. And what I do is, depending on what genre I'm working in, is I will develop a fan base or a base with other authors. And I work with other authors because of the reviews I do. And I'll tell them, I said, look, when you release that book, gift me a copy. It will count as a sale towards your book, and I'll write a review on it, and I'll post it on my Facebook page for you. So if an author can do that with 100 people on launch day, Amazon doesn't really discriminate against whether it's a gift book or it was a purchase. What they see is we have a sale. And depending on what genre you're in, sometimes 100 sales will take you straight to #1 in that genre. And some of the niches and categories that I write in, sometimes just #1 in that category. And the thing about the launching a book towards the top immediately is not only will you get the marketing arm of Amazon behind that book, they will also heavily promote it as a hot new release. And then they will send out emails to customers who have bought similar type products. So what you have done by gifting 100, 200 books, films, is create a desire on Amazon's part to market it for you that would cost you literally thousands of dollars. When you are on Amazon, they have the Kindle Direct Publishing, which is a program that's renewable every 90 days. And with that, your book can be made available through Kindle Unlimited, where if you're a member of Kindle Unlimited, you can download and read the book or film for free. And you can also offer it as a free promotion. In other words, you can say up to 5 days during a 90-day period, you can promote your product for free. I've tried that, and I'm telling you, strategy-wise, I would rather give away out of my own pocket 200 copies of an ebook rather than give away 10,000 copies, because you get the immediate results of those sales, which then kicks in the advertising marketing of Amazon. So for me, that's the way I go. Now the question is, how do you develop 100 people to give these books to? That's where you go into your pre-launch thinking in marketing, whether it be through Facebook, Twitter. You can run contests, but you want to engage your audience. You want to engage the public to get them interested in that book. And there's a lot of ways to do that, a lot of ways. Anybody that's involved in crowdfunding, the content is already there. It doesn't cost you anything to send it out. And you could have a crowdfunding project where no matter what you pledge to this project, upon notification of your pledge, I will send you a link to where you can download this product for free. And what they're getting is they're getting that added value. They're getting your even if it's a film, even though it's digital, it's still going to lead to a sale of the physical DVD. So there's a lot of techniques and strategies out there, and whatever works for books will work in film and music. It's universal. The mechanics are the same. The results are the same. So I think what we need to focus on is how we build that base, and it kind of depends on the particular individual. If you're a newbie and you're coming out of the gate with absolutely nothing behind you, then that's when you need to get creative with friends and family. Start beating down some doors. Start sending out some emails. Developing an email list. One of the things you can do is start putting some teasers on your Facebook page. Hey, here's a chapter from this book I've got coming out, oh, November the 25th. Just whatever you can do to garner attention for it. But you want to capture those emails. You want to get that contact information so on the day of the launch, you can start gifting out these products to these people. I did one where I gifted 250 books over a 5-day period. And because
Wow.
of the category I was in, it went to #1 and stayed there for 6 weeks. Because of the excitement and the buzz as a hot new release, Amazon took over. And I had made back everything I spent on my own marketing the first week. And you can see this in real time, almost near real time, the sales. You can check your sales every 30 minutes to an hour, and you can see them just piling up. And this is great because you have total control of the whole process.
Yeah, it's interesting.
One of the things we want to hit on, though, is,
Oh, go ahead.
well, I was going to say, one of the things we want to hit on is you got to get some buzz around your product, and the way you get that buzz is through reviews.
Yeah,
And we can talk on that if you like.
yeah, it's interesting because just to clarify again, like like you said, the whole concept of like direct publishing. I threw up on the screen share a little, indicator like, hey, get to market fast, make more money, keep control, and this whole idea that this program that I'm going to throw that up there again real quick so people can see it. Let's see. I'm going to present this to everybody. Okay, yeah, you can see this. They have this little cute little video here. But you're right, because they're offering it saying like we want to reward those who are going to decide to use Amazon as their launching place for the marketplace. Obviously in the news, like Amazon had some interesting clashes with some other publishers or people that if you're an author and you decide to go to Amazon, I think that Tim Ferriss famously was his last I think it's 4-Hour Chef or something. He published that book via I think Amazon, but was blackballed on like Barnes and Noble and everything for a while. It's like so we're beginning to see the signs like depending on who you decide to align with for your initial window launch. Eventually you can be able to sell on other platforms, but you definitely have to have a better strategy plan before you just launch your product out to the world. Like I said, with my film, just to get it out there. I just threw it up on Vimeo on demand because it was a new service, and I wanted to see what would happen if I at least offered a portal for people to go to that they can rent and buy. Because I didn't have that set up. I didn't have like an SSL certificate, or anything like that. Like Gumroad.com, if you guys check that out, is an easy way to sell digital products. However, it's not necessarily a marketplace. It just means that you on your site, and then VHX TV just popped up, but they're still not necessarily marketplaces, which is great about Amazon. The power of Amazon being a marketplace is that when people are on the site, they know they're there to buy something, or they're browsing, or they're adding to their wish list, like, yeah, eventually want to buy this, but they have their credit card on file, and it's like this huge marketplace where they can, get almost anything. So if they're in the mood to, buy a film, if they're there to buy your film or somebody else's film that's in a similar genre, and they see, how it is, I can throw it up here shortly, just like customers also bought. It's a much more powerful mindset to be in, to make sure that your product is seen and in a very good top shelf display, because real estate is everything. Location. Obviously, even a real store. And having your book prominent in some place, or your can of soup in a higher level where adults are going to buy it, or wherever your shelf space is vital. Nothing's changed. And the same thing can be applied to films in terms of shelf space, and that's the difference of like all these other platforms. Like I don't necessarily think like the general public is going to Vimeo on demand right now to look at it as a marketplace for film. It's really just another place for other filmmakers to go check out other people's films. And so it's like, or right now the marketplaces are iTunes because people have their credit card on file, where they're used to they're used to just doing one-click buy to like get a song or whatever. Right. I have Apple TV, and every Friday or every weekend we're looking at like what movie we want to buy, and one click, boom, we're renting something. We have yet to adopt the Amazon Fire media player, which looks amazing because believe me, I can see a lot of great benefits of just putting the remote to my mouth and just saying, the Marvel Avengers, as opposed to me sitting there trying to type in Marvel Avengers one at a time, whatever it might be. So definitely the Amazon's in it to play and win, and like you said, they're there to compete with Netflix on the subscription basis. They have Amazon Prime, which gives you discounts on your shipping and all this free access to like certain TV shows and movies that are in their library if you decide to be part of the world of Amazon, Instant. I think I read somewhere Sherry Candler in her community group on Google Plus was mentioning like filmmakers get paid X amount of cents or something if their film if they get to, like, the first 6 minutes watched. So you can go to like anybody's film online that is like maybe independent filmmaker has like their film available for free if you're an Amazon Prime member. In order for them to get paid, you just have to make sure that you're watching the first 6 minutes. So that's one thing to think about. If you want to be part of that marketplace, maybe make sure that your first 6 minutes of your film is really engaging. So, just to make sure that you can make sure you get paid, because it's because people are wondering like, well, how do you get paid on Netflix? They actually just give you a flat fee, like a flat license fee, and I think it's like $1,200. That's crazy if you have a film that you spend $100,000, to $500,000 on. Right. It's crazy. But with Amazon, at least the pay per play type thing is knowing that maybe the metrics are for every 6 minutes or however long they watch it. If you're going to be part of that Amazon free space, how would you get paid? You can make sure to design your film to make sure the first 6 minutes are vital. So anyway,
well, let me expand on the Kindle Direct Publishing on how that works. First off, as a consumer, I'm a Prime member. Pay $99 a year, and you get free shipping on any Prime product. So if I'm doing some research and there's a particular book I need, I can go over to Amazon, and if it's on Prime, click and buy. It's in my mailbox in 2 to 5 days. If there's a particular film that I need to see for whatever I'm working on, I can go if it's Amazon Prime, I can go to it, watch it for free. Now, in addition to being a Prime member, I'm also a Kindle Unlimited member, which is $9.95 a month. And what that does as a member of Kindle Unlimited is you're allowed to read any book that is offered through Kindle Unlimited for absolutely free. You're only allowed to keep up to 10 books in your library. Anything over that, you got to return one to keep one, but you can keep up to 10 books all the time. So as a consumer, it is a hell of a deal. $100 a year, and I can get whatever I want with free shipping, as long as it's a Prime product. If it's a film or music that's Prime, I can listen to it for free, download it to my cloud for free. I'm telling you, the first month I was on Prime, I got my money back and then some. The Kindle Unlimited, as a consumer, I was doing some research. There was a book as an ebook, and it was $9.95. I didn't want to spend $10. I didn't have to. I read the book for free. So as a consumer, I am saving tons of money participating in the Kindle Unlimited and in the Prime. Now, as an author, the way it works for us is, since majority of my books are done through Kindle Direct Publishing, is if you are a Prime member and my book is through Kindle Direct Publishing, you can download and read that book for free. As long as the consumer reads a minimum of 10% of the book, I get paid the purchase price of that book. Now here's the kicker. Amazon puts incentives for people like us to be part of the KDP. So I have a 99-cent ebook. When that ebook is sold through Amazon, I get 35 cents out of that 99 cents. When a Prime member borrows that book to read for free, I get over $2.
That's wild.
And I have books. I have books right now. I wish I could show you on the screen, but I have books where I am making more money
I'm gonna throw
by
your
having
stuff
to
up here quick.
borrow them than I make by them buying them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, say that again. I want to make sure people
So when
hear that.
people, okay, when you are a member as a publisher, when you're a member of the Kindle Direct Publishing, the share program pays out an average about $2.04 per download. It doesn't matter if it's a 99-cent book or if it's a $9.95 ebook. The share is still about $2.04 a piece. It's equally shared across the board. So for me, what I've learned is I have a book, because of the category it's in, because of its competition, it really needs to be priced at 99 cents. If I price it at $2.99, it's not going to sell. But because of the competitiveness of the market, I price it at 99 cents. But what I find that's amazing is about a third to half of the total sales are not actual sales. They're Prime members borrowing the unit for free. Thus, instead of getting paid 35 cents on a 99-cent sell, I'm getting paid $2 plus for somebody borrowing a 99-cent product. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's amazing. It totally makes sense because it sounds like a much better deal, like you said, than Netflix is offering. If they're just offering a flat license fee. That's it for the year
Right.
or whatever it is, as opposed to I'm not too sure. I think IndieFlix does a good job in terms of giving revenue back to the filmmaker. But the question is like, IndieFlix has been around and doing a good job trying to represent the independent filmmaking space, sort of like the Netflix for the independent film in that respect.
Well, see,
I would say it's still different because it's not as a big marketplace as Amazon is.
here's another aspect of Amazon that filmmakers, authors, and musicians need to be aware of. When I publish a book on Amazon.com, it's not just on Amazon.com. It's on Amazon.uk. It's on Amazon.fr, .eu, .it, .au, .jp. You have your product, once it's on Amazon.com, is released to the entire world through the Amazon platforms. And the other thing I love about Amazon, and this is really critical for people like me that really need the money, is you get your royalties paid to you every 30 days. And I'm going to tell you, when you get the email saying they're depositing X dollars on your account on the 28th, when you wake up on the 28th, it is there. And it is a great feeling to see a half a dozen or so deposits come in from Amazon, from all the different platforms around the world. When I first got into this, I was offered a publishing contract. And when I got through the 16 pages, I said, "You've got to be crazy to sign a contract. I'm going to get 11% of this gross, and then I got to wait 9 months to see my check. Would I rather have 11% of the gross in 9 months, or would I rather have 35% or 70% in 30 days?" So Amazon, for people like me, is a great opportunity. And what's even more remarkable, because as a top reviewer, you'd be surprised how many big names are going, and they're called hybrids now. They still publish through a traditional publisher, but their other stuff, they're self-publishing. And this is why. Because they can make more money doing it on their own than what a HarperCollins will pay them, or a Simon Schuster, or a St. Martin's Press. And to put that in point, to illustrate it, I was offered a publishing contract 2 weeks ago, and I asked the guy point blank, "What can you do for me that I'm not already doing for myself? And how are you going to give me more money?"
What was the answer?
He couldn't answer it. All they're wanting to do is take a cut of the pie for them, because unless you're a Stephen King or a Stephanie Myers, if you do sign with a major publisher, it's still up to you to market your product. They don't hire a stand-in to go do these book signings and book tours and lectures. It's still you that's doing it. The difference is when you're doing those book signing tours, those lectures and radio interviews, you're basically working for the publisher. You're not working for yourself. You're basically an employee, because they're taking the lion's share of the royalties. So I don't want to mention who the publishing house is, but I had another publishing house contact me about my current project I'm working on. And I was very frank. I said, I need to see some zeros behind the numbers for me to even take the call next time, because I frankly don't need you.
Yeah.
I don't need the ego stroke to go see my book in a Barnes and Noble. I'd rather keep that money in my pocket, because if you figure the math, 70% versus 11%, that's a 7-to-1 ratio. So you tell me you can sell 10,000 books. Maybe you can, maybe you're not, but I know damn good and well I can sell 1,500, 2,000 on my own. And then right there, the math's already in my favor, plus the fact that I get my money in 30 days and I don't have to wait 9 months to see it. So there is a paradigm shift happening in the entertainment industry, in film, music, and books, because we no longer need the establishment. We no longer need them to give us the outlet to get our product to market anymore.
I think it's fascinating because you brought it up. You'll hear this, like, I love seeing what's happened in the book publishing industry, because the publishers are essentially the film distribution companies. So the same sort of deals will come in place for filmmakers, which is like, look, we need to have 100% control of the rights to your film, or at least domestic or foreign or whatever it might be, but we need to control that license for 5, 7, 25 years or something like that. But why we take the bulk of it, you may see a check, like you said, 6 months, 9 months down the line, but it may only be the minimum guarantee. So the whole point is nobody ever sees royalty checks in the film world. That's why they had all these legal cases. And one of the most famous ones was My Big Fat Greek Wedding. It shows the box office, reports that they earned like well over $300+ million for a little film that cost maybe $5 million to make, and they were in litigation forever. But thank God it was the producers behind it, were Tom Hanks and his wife Rita Wilson, because they were able to sustain the long legal battle, and I think eventually put Golden Circle out of business, because Golden Circle was taking the revenues of this one success, and then they were writing it off for all the failures that they had in their film library, because they saw it as like all together as opposed to individual. Anyhow, it's fascinating, like you said. It's like when the artists can have empowerment to just have means to sell and distribute their work to their audience directly, and they're still doing the marketing themselves. What is the role of a distribution company when distribution is almost free, and as Jason Brubaker says, it's just a commodity. There's nothing special about it anymore. What's special, like you said, is the audience, is your relationship, what you built up, your marketing. A lot of times, film distribution companies will actually ask, like, okay, you're going to sign the contract, but we also need to have your email list. So, like, whatever you've done, we need that, because we need you to keep doing what you're doing. Like you're saying, well, that doesn't make any sense. Like, what do you bring to the table? Now, the interesting thing is, like you said, writing books is, boom, you're on your laptop, you're cranking out, you showed these services that allow you to turn your Word doc into a Kindle book, all these wonderful things to get the easy use up to the marketplace. Musicians, I have a friend that works at a well-known college that teaches music production, and people go there, like these kids are paying all this money to like work in this huge sound studio, and he's kind of looking at me like, privately and saying, I don't know where we're sending all these kids. It's like maybe less than 1% is actually going to work in a studio like this, like, because everybody can just make all this music on their laptop, So that's like the reality. He goes, but we're in the world of college or for-profit college, they need to create this sense of fear or security, like, come spend all this money with us, you get to have access to all this wonderful gear, and then when you'll come out of it with a degree that we have no idea whether or not you're going to get any job out of it. So it's like, the funny thing is so books are easy, not say, like, the entry barrier, the production barrier is inexpensive to make something and sell it. Music has gotten a lot less expensive, and film was sort of like the last one, because you've seen the production budgets come down from anywhere from like 35 million. Like, a long time ago, making $1 million independent film was like seen as like the lowest you can go. Like anything under $1 million was like really, really dirt cheap. But now $1 million almost seems like way too much to make an independent film, per se. You know, case in point, this little knucklehead film, The Cube, was made for $500. It's a feature-length film. So that's where it blew my mind, was like, wait a minute, if you can make a feature film for this low, then we've definitely finally, as filmmakers, entered the same playing field as independent authors, independent musicians, independent artists, visual artists. And so you're right. So we are all collectively together. Now, how do we take advantage of, and work to help, you know, like a marketplace like Amazon that will in turn help us? And so that's where we're at right now, because like film can be in the same playing field as something inexpensively created, you know, or produced. You know, it doesn't have to be these large, huge budgets, and that's sort of what I'm interested in. Is like I believe that one day somebody's going to make something so inexpensive, a feature film, they're going to place it on one of these direct distribution platforms, and they're going to sell, you know, their film for like 99 cents, but they're going to sell like 1 million copies, just like the iPhone app world when somebody made a fart app. You know,
it's kind of happening now.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, the film industry is probably lagging behind in the technology. Did you know the last Chicago album was literally done in a series of hotel rooms on a laptop?
I believe it.
The technology is getting to the point where people in the music industry don't need the labels anymore. And the technology is where they don't need to block out a week in the studio or such. So yeah, film's still lagging behind. But I think when you bootstrap a film, an independent film, I think what bootstrapping does, that means we're going to do this and we'll figure out how we'll pay for it after it's done. I think it forces you to be more creative, more outside the box, and how can I get where I want to be without a budget? And to me, I think that's where some of your best work comes from, because you're already forced mentally to think outside that box and get really creative. And I think that's where some of the greatest stuff comes from. I think when you have a fat budget, you get lazy, creatively speaking, and the product shows. I have seen some fabulous product in films that were made, like you said, for hundreds of dollars, if not a few thousand, because they didn't have the money for CG. They didn't have all this money for post-production. They poured it into the talent within the screenplay and in the acting. And if you look at films back in the 30s and 40s, that's why they're so endearing, is because it relied heavily on talent and quality screenplays. Dashiell Hammett, I mean, these guys, Ray Chandler and those guys, even by today's standards, they're just brilliantly written because they didn't have a choice. They didn't have the benefit of blowing up, you know, half of LA. So, and I think that's what this paradigm shift is doing with independent films, is they're getting away from depending on a big budget and going back to something called talent in making something that's watchable, that's desirable. I think that's a great thing, a very great thing.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. Here's like I had this discussion with some other filmmakers about there's a tendency for a lot of filmmakers to get caught up in what we call like gear porn. You know, like the latest camera, the latest little gadget. You know, I met a lot of filmmakers that have like these amazing gears, like equipment that they bought. You know, but without that story, without anything that's interesting, it doesn't matter. It could look nice, but that's not really, you know, that's not going to what's going to sell. And I think it's fascinating because, you know, some of the most popular videos on YouTube are, you know, cat videos, you know, done with like iPhones, and they're just, you know, really crappily done. But I've watched my family sit there for, it almost felt like a half hour, almost an hour, watching animal videos. It didn't matter because we were so enthralled on what was actually on screen, the subject. The technical quality was crap, but it didn't matter because the content was fascinating, or whatever it is. We were entertained by all these, you know, adorable animals. But you put that into a story context, you know, we as a society can be more accepting of being perfect. Right now, we're having a conversation, And we're in a webcam world. It's like right now I got too much of a hot light coming on my side of my face. Like if you're like a film person, you might be freaking out. Like just put a flag or something over it or whatever to you can make it look nicer or get a better webcam or whatever it might be. However, that might not matter at all because we've come to accept what this stuff looks like, and we're much more interested in the content. Like we accept it, and so it's okay to maybe your stuff doesn't look as the Hollywood studios, but if you can, again, use your creative limitations and create something so compelling that's in the frame, don't worry necessarily about all the whether or not the lighting is correct or that kind of stuff. Sound is important because we definitely, if it sounds good, we can close our eyes and still get the conversation. Our conversation here, most people may never even see us visually. They might only hear us through a podcast episode that I put together that they're in their car driving, and that's all they hear. So that's important. So those types of things are always fascinating to me. It's like if cat videos can have more film and their stuff looks like crap, like in terms of technically, that's fine because that tells me that people are much more interested in the content than they are the technical part of it. So that gives that liberates the the filmmaker to be okay to make something so inexpensive, because as long as they focus on the story or the genre or what audience they're serving, as you have proven, like you said, you have a lot of books. And I want to show people kind of what your site real quick so we don't miss out on that. Here it is, your stuff on Amazon, Like as I scroll down here, you've got a lot of books and they're very specific. Like you said, you jump from the world of translating Lao Tzu, which is amazing, and you got all these reviews, and it's how easily it is to buy this if somebody's on your looking for this type of thing. But then you jump into like Texas Jack's famous apple cider recipes, very specific, very niche. But man, when people are looking for something, they know exactly what they're looking for, and it's amazing all this stuff here. And then you got definitely, like you said, a Renaissance man of a lot of books. Like I don't know if people can see this, but this is a lot of writing that Dennis has put together, and a lot of content that you can draw from, that he can make documentaries and make feature films or web series or whatever it might be. He can create more content, and I'm only on page 1. There's 3 pages of this stuff that you got out there. That's amazing, and which is I'm really jazzed about it is because you like you said, it's did I not present that to everybody? Sorry about that. So I'm going to do this again. Hey, everybody, I don't know if I presented this to everybody, but here we go. One more time. Here it is. Here's his stuff, because I think that I said I presented only to you and I. I don't think it got broadcast to the rest of the public. But this is your site, your work through Amazon. Like I said, there's well over 3 pages of work and content you've created. And that tells me that as a creator, you're getting satisfaction, artistic outlet to make this stuff happen. Now, when you want to turn that into a film, like you say, you can make documentary films or turn it into a web series. Talk about series, Amazon's in the game now. They're just this fall we're going to see the first iterations of their original series. They're in the game just as Netflix is in the game.
Right.
So that tells us as consumers that if you can make something similar in genre to one of their original series, and then you utilize what you just described, which is like you got to do a proper product launch, meaning that you maybe utilize all these techniques that when you sell a book in terms of using the KDP service of exclusive just to the Kindle, or exclusive just to Amazon, where you're able to give away so many items out for free. You build a strong launch group, a product launch group that just floods Amazon with the ratings and review. Like you have to actually get something in place that you're offering some value to a group of people that are your early adopters, early fans, to leave that ratings and review to, I don't want to say like game the system, but you're taking advantage for Amazon. Amazon needs to show, like you said, they need to sell product. So if you have done the legwork of showing that what you made had a strong enough impact in the first, outing, the first week of launch by having a lot of reviews, and Not only that, that old adage of you want to do 20% of the work to get 80% of the results. I forget the law. I forget what that law is called or whatnot. But you were mentioning pairing up with other successful authors or other successful reviewers in Amazon that have a larger audience or have the audience that you want to get in front of. So if you can work with them or offer them some value in exchange for exposure, like you as a creator have to be willing to give away certain things, but in a strategic way. Like, you know, some in the old ways, it's like throwing something on YouTube is sort of like I'm just giving it out to the world, but I have no idea if anybody's going to catch on to this and be viral. With at least Amazon, in this process of giving things away, you're being much more strategic, and you're being strategic in a marketplace where people actually buy something, not necessarily YouTube. I mean, people can actually buy and rent films on YouTube, but our mental condition is not there. When you're on YouTube, you're looking for free stuff. When you go to Amazon, you're not looking for free stuff unless you buy into the Prime or you buy into the Kindle Unlimited, and that's a different capacity, but still the creators will get paid. So with that said, yeah, I just wanted to show that off. Like, we are here. Like you said, filmmakers are here. We can make films for so inexpensive, like that thing right there, and now we just have to get better at knowing how to place it in the correct marketplace and build it on our own and build a body of work like you have. Volume is one of the key things in terms of business. So you're not hinging on just one product. Like you said, you can, you know, I could turn this into like a book or my next film or whatever it might be, a book, an ebook, the audio version of the book. You know, what other extra values can I give to that audience that would be willing to see it if they're looking for something on Amazon very specific, like a Buddhist supernatural suspense movie, whatever it might be. It might be very, very specific, but it's exciting and it's wonderful to see what you've done. But as we kind of wrap up, I want to make sure I covered everything. What other advice do you have, or what are your thoughts about what you're going to do with your film project, knowing that you've already been very successful and spent a lot of time in the Amazon marketplace to do what you're doing, but how would you take your next film project, or what are your plans for your next film project and taking advantage of the Amazon marketplace?
All right, I'm going to back up a little bit.
Thank you.
To answer that question. In the publishing world, and I don't care if you're talking to Brendan Burchard or Ryan Deiss, but the consensus is you need 3 products in a particular genre to be considered an authority or an expert. And what I have done is I have created that sense of authority by having several books that all did extremely well in the genre of Buddhism, Zen, and Tao. What this does for you is it builds a level of credibility that you can use to go to the next step. And how that applies to filmmakers is if I'm going to produce a feature-length film, I think before I would do that, I would make some short films, 2 or 3 short films, get them on Amazon first to get that foundation built, to get all the kinks worked out, to develop the relationships I need with other filmmakers, with other reviewers, before I really would go in deep with the big project. So to answer your question, what I'm looking at doing is producing some smaller films, maybe even 10, 15 minutes, maybe a little series, and get them out there to get my feet wet, get the foundation built to where I already have a foundation, a following, a fan base that I can use as a launch pad for the big film. And the thing that's really important is everything is interconnected. Because the books are going into movies, the movies are going to bring back to the books. Everything's interconnected, and you never want to dismiss anything, whatever you're doing. The other thing, too, is you want to think 6 steps ahead. You know, I'm working on a current project. I'm already 6 steps ahead of where I want this project to be in 3 years, and I haven't even got it completed yet. It's the same thing with a film as a filmmaker. I think you need to think outside the box and think way ahead rather than just, I'm going to make this film, I'm going to put it on Amazon, then I'm going to work on it. No, I think you need to have a game plan on where it is that you want to be in 3 to 5 years, and then work backwards, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
For me, I would love to have a short film at a major film festival. Say that's my end game, and let's say I want that to happen within 5 years. It's just simple to pick that end game, that end point, and work backwards. So the question is, what do I need to get there? Well, I got to get into the game. I got to put some skin out there. I got to get my name known. I got to get my work known. I'm already known as a writer. Being a writer is already opening doors that I couldn't get open 5 years ago. So I just need to apply that same principle to film. So yeah, I don't think there's absolutely nothing wrong with going out there and doing a web series. Winners is a good point in case. You know, some guys in LA had a blast, produced this little web series called Winners, where it's just a bunch of losers sitting around a house bitching about life, and it became a hit. Um, I think if I had to give any advice, is you got to do it because you love it. If you're doing it to make money, you're in the wrong business. Because if you don't like it, nobody else is. And I know when I have something that is good is when I get passionate about it, or when I get excited, or when I write something, I have to stop writing because I'm laughing so hard at what I wrote because it's so silly. I know that if I can get that jazzed over my own work, then other people are as well. So as far as my own personal independent film career is, just get out there, learn what I need to learn, start at the bottom, and expect that not everything I'm going to do is going to work. But it's okay because it's all going to lead me up to where I need to be when I do what it is that I wanted to do when I first started. So the Kustaka documentary, you know, we'll probably release a little short film on different aspects of that book until I get comfortable enough that I'm ready, the marketplace is ready for me to do a feature-length documentary based on the book, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's amazing. You know, it was fascinating when you said that. Like, you gotta do what you love, you know. And you know, I'm trying to figure out. I think what it is like with the Hollywood system sort of imploding, you know, in a matter of perspective or point of view, is for filmmakers or creative people, the idea is you just want to create, but you want to know that there's some sort of system in place that you can apply your creative work to that could lead you to eventual just making a living, basically. And with all the upending that's been going on, with the uncertainty of the studio system, and especially the subset, which is the independent film system, where you know, where the value of film may have decreased because we have so much influx of supply and less demand in matter of perspective. But this whole conversation, the whole point of these Film Marketing Fridays or whatever we're doing is trying to establish some new structures, some new ways that creative people can just create their stuff and be comforted to know that, you know what, there is a way. There is other ways that aren't being discussed or taught on a large scale that you can plug your creative work into a system that will, you know, generate you revenue or potential revenue and potential a career in terms of sustainable living. And like what you've done with your books as a creative person, and now, like you said, now we're trying to see how do we apply the film product in the same vein. That's what's comforting to me, just knowing like, hey, you know, I've been studying all this stuff for the last 7 years, knowing that something's going to give, and I'm not too sure what it was, but just of late it's becoming clearer and clearer. You know, like the one breakthrough after another breakthrough, like you said, making something and then putting it out there and what works and what doesn't work, but seeing like, oh, okay, this is where we need to go. My overall feelings are that it's interesting because consumers are more comfortable spending like $27 on a book. You know, that's no problem. Like they won't balk at a price like that if they see in Amazon anything from $17 to like $27 if they see a book. You know, like that's sort of accepted. Like you said, some books are even, other ebooks like 99 cents, like, oh, even better, But it's interesting about film. people have come to be accustomed to be like, look, I'll just wait till it's on Netflix because I got that subscription, you know, or Amazon Prime, I'll watch it for free. Or I'm not going to spend, you know, $12 on a thing. I'll rent it for 99 cents. So like people have this view of like they value film as a 99 cents product almost. And so which is interesting because if you turn that film, turn it into like a novel or a book, you could turn around and sell it for like $7 or, you know, $17, and people will be like, no, okay, I'm cool with that. It's like the value gets higher. So the overall concept is instead of trying to make a film that if you're pushing or you're peddling a 99 cents product, then that means you have to get a large transaction base. You know, like you have to have X amount of transactions to even make, you know, your money back or double your money. However, if you have a different mindset, which is just serving a fan base, most famous, like one of the most famous blog posts in the last few years, the 1,000 True Fans by I think Kevin Kelly, of the former editor of Wired magazine, just simply said artists that if they can build a true, 1,000 true fans, and if those 1,000 true fans are willing to hand over $100 a year to that artist can make a living. That's $100,000, you know. And so the thing is, like, well, where can filmmakers get to a place where they're offering a $100 product of value to an audience as small as 1,000 people? And I think what you pointed out, which is like, you've got your film, you know, maybe there's the book, there's the audio version of the book, there's other stuff that goes with it, and that really comes back to what Hollywood's been doing for the longest time, which is exploiting licenses. Again, the independent can exploit their own license, but with the mindset of like, look, I don't need to have like 10,000 customers. I just need to get to my 1,000 customers and make sure that I'm treating them well and giving them value that's worth $100 a year. And my film is only one part of that, but I can exploit that license in different ways to provide a $100 value product. And so that's sort of, I guess, my mission or my thought process is that to break down those walls so that filmmakers are beginning to think that way. Like it's like, you know, it's not just my film. My film is one part of it, but I've got to get that $100 product value to my audience, and I just need to get my audience to 1,000 people. And that seems more doable than trying to make a little film and, you know, make $1 million out of it or something, 1 million people to see it, amongst all the noise that you got to compete with Hollywood and so on. Anyhow, that's sort of my thoughts, but we can wrap it up. I actually had just a blast talking to you and learned so much, and I can't wait to share this with the rest of the community.
No, I've enjoyed it too. It's been a lot of fun. Yeah, to close out, I have been amazed at the people that are willing to help when I ask, just like with you. Nobody, when I said, hey, you know, I got this problem with IMDb, how do I get around it? And I have found time and time again, people like me, like you, are willing to help their fellow artists. I had a friend who did a film that I helped produce, and on this new film, he's got the screenplay. And I said, I just reviewed a book for the creative director for Spielberg. I'm sure he would give your screenplay a read and give you some thoughts on it. I mean, these connections, these associations with fellow authors and filmmakers is the difference between getting where you want quicker than doing it on your own. And if I had to summarize it, is don't be afraid to ask. I mean, the worst that can happen is no or nothing. But I have been completely amazed by the tremendous support by fellow authors and filmmakers that are out there that are like us. The only difference is they might be a little further down the road than we are at this present time, but the key is we're still all on the same road.
Yeah, it's interesting you brought that up. I always felt like the reason why, for historically, why other filmmakers have sort of this scarcity mindset is because we've been conditioned to be like, you make a film, you get it into one of the prestigious film festivals, you get discovered, and you get to be part of this very small percentage of people that get to work in the studio system. So there's this, it's already set up for this mindset of scarcity, because it's like this idea like that's the only way to make a successful living in making films. But once you break down the doors and you see like the world of online business, that they have, a lot of people have this mindset of abundance because you are there just to serve a very specific niche audience, and you're not necessarily competing with your other fellow filmmakers and stuff like that because you don't have the same audience, and that sort of opens the floodgates for the ability to help each other. And I really do enjoy following a lot of these successful online business people because they're not afraid to help each other, and they don't see it as competition per se. Like say you and I, like I was going to write a book on Buddhism from my mom's perspective or whatever, being from Thailand. It's not necessary that we're in competition, because what you've done is show that if you've been successful in that space, is that there's an audience for it, and that tells you like, okay, that's a good thing to go into, and you can complement each other, because it says if they call in the business world like a joint venture opportunity, but you said like earlier that working with other successful authors, you're utilizing their audience that they built up, but if you can provide them value with work that you've created, a book that you've created, and then bring your audience, you can share in the expansion of your work, and you can what do you call it? Earn from those profits. So it is wonderful, like you said. It's just helping each other out, because down the line, as we get older, whatnot, that's kind of what life is about. And like you said, you having studied and written a lot of books on the Buddhism, Taoism, and Taoism. I remember when I was making this film, The Cube, the one key theme was essentially Buddha was essentially saying, the greatest gift to give is sharing your knowledge. The whole point is you get someplace and you attain it. You're like, the only thing you're supposed to do is share it. And it's as simple as that. The difference is some people have been able to monetize from it. Not to exploit it, not to be like a sleazy salesman, but people have this feeling like if you're offering some good value with what you're sharing, and that value matches the price point, then there's an agreement. It's sort of like, yeah, no problem. Like you said, you knew your niche in the book, that in your competitive space, in collaborating space, that the 99 cents price point was perfect for where you needed it to be, because that matched the value. And I think filmmakers need to understand that with their own films. If whatever genre they're putting together, like, does the price point match the value of what that expected audience needs from it? But I do find it interesting, and I like the paradigm shift of the mind shift from scarcity to abundance, and just having that take over, which I'm really excited by. And I think that's and the same held true for the publishing world, because a lot of authors felt like, oh, I got to get into one of a handful of publishing companies to get a deal. Musicians, I got to get that record deal. All this kind of stuff. Like, for the longest time, we've been been conditioned by the scarcity mindset, but now we can just blow that out the water and be this abundance mindset and be okay to share our experiences and together grow from there. So I love what you said. So, but hey, we can wrap it up. I'm sure we can talk for a lot longer.
Well, I've enjoyed it, Scott. And whatever I can do, man, just let me know.
And vice versa. I can't wait to share your work with the rest of the world, and like the world's listening. It's funny though. It's fun to have people from different countries, contact me. I'm like, oh man, somebody from Germany's talking to me.
In closing, anybody out there who's interested in knowing more, they can contact me either through Facebook or email, because Facebook has a very vibrant independent film community. There's several communities out there, some 50,000 plus members, and it's shooting fish in a barrel, because when you go and get invited into that group of 50,000 people, you're talking to your own kind. And what you're going to soon discover is everybody's there to help everybody else. And you never know where any one of those contacts are going to go. You never know where it's coming from. you could visit with somebody, and 2 weeks later they're on a radio show, and they go, "Oh, by the way, I talked to this guy 2 weeks ago." So it's really important to give what it is you wish to take. But with that said, there's a vibrant community on Amazon in attaining reviews and getting support, whether you're in music, film, or print. If you know where to go, you'll be surprised at the value and the significance of opportunities that are just there waiting for you to discover and take advantage of. So yeah, whatever I can do to help push the rock down the field, man, let me know.
Luke, sounds great. Sounds great. Well, I'll follow up with you later, and like I said, I'll put all your information that you've given us in the show notes, and I'll make sure I give that link to everybody out there. But man, thank you so much. It's been a great Friday, and love to see your work down the line. And I honestly didn't know about Kindle Unlimited, but now I do. I'm like, oh, sweet. I love reading all my books on Kindle for sure. Okay, so guys, I'm going to put the little logo up and say goodbye to everybody who gets to watch this. Yeah, I get to present that to everybody. All right, so I'm going to stop this broadcast, and then Dennis, you and I can hang out for a little bit, and
Okay.
and we'll do a proper send-off. Thanks, everybody.